This is what I learned after doing 1,620 total outreach on Upwork to start my business and to really take my freelancing game to the next level. Now, I started back in like late December and really kicked it up. And from January to now is about the middle of 2023. So, a little bit, almost about 6 months or so. And the reason I did this 620 specifically is because I was working with my mentor. And my mentor said that, hey, like 18 outreach a day would probably be a good number to reach. And 18 times 90, which we agreed again to 90 days of doing this, would probably get me, pretty decent results off of that. So we made that plan, and, with 1,620 total outreach being the goal, that's what I really stuck to. And I literally just got done with it today, actually. And I started back, like I said, in late December, early January, and I did about 3 to 4 business days a week. I focused on 18 hours a day. And, some days were way more, some days were way less. Like sometimes it was like in the 30s, and some days it was like in the 5 or 6. So it definitely did range, but on average it was about 18, like the number I stick to at the very beginning. And yeah, it was definitely a learning experience after somebody that, for me, I was a freelancer mainly before I started my business a little bit less than a year ago. And I was mainly someone that relied on inbound or very close network connections for business on freelancing or anything like that, to where when I started my business and I knew I needed to do more outbound outreach methods of getting business, that was something that definitely was a learning curve for me. So doing this was definitely a good learning thing, but it was also something that took a long time and a lot of emotion. Not necessarily a lot of emotion, but it took a lot of hard work out of me. So for anyone that's not used to doing outbound or needing to take their business to the next level and not taking outbound seriously, I definitely suggest it. Especially on the platform I use, which was Upwork. And Upwork is basically like LinkedIn, but for contractors and freelancers. And the only big difference really is that you have to pay for applications, which sounds kind of stupid, but it kind of makes everything a little bit easier because whoever you're working with is a little more credible or taking you seriously. So it does, and it's cheap. It's only like 15 cents to like a dollar. So it's not nothing like crazy, but it is something to take into account. But yeah, I guess to go into this video a bit more, the first, I want to cover 3 things. The first thing is like what I kind of felt about it. And the second thing was the stats behind it. And the third thing is what I wish I could have done, or what I wish I would have done, or what I would do next time, basically. And the first thing is like how I felt about it. Like I said, it was definitely a long journey, very hard at times. Like I said, I wasn't really used to outbound stuff. I was more used to inbound stuff. So it was definitely a change of pace when it came to how I wanted to present myself. And I presented myself pretty decent. I'll go over the stats in a minute, but I presented myself pretty decent. I had a pretty good brand overall, my Upwork profile, as well as my cover letter was pretty well written and everything like that, where my messaging was pretty decent overall. So I can't really like look down on that side, but it was hard work, man. Like having to do that over and over again, and it would just be so boring. Like I have my full respect to anyone that loves doing outreach, because it is a different animal. It's just the same thing over and over again. But at the same time, though, it was for a good opportunity. It's for discussing things with potential clients and everything. So it's definitely for a good reason. So that's how I really felt about it. But so moving on with the stats and everything, this is probably the big thing that everyone's kind of curious about. So I did the 1,620 total outreaches, and I got about a 5% return rate of, well, not 5% return, to 5% message back rate, which is pretty good, because like when you think about email messaging, or let's just do email messaging, people are like talking about getting like a percentile, like a less than a percent of getting a return message. That's what they're talking about for email. And then when they talk about like Instagram messaging or social media messaging, they're talking, like maybe a higher rate of return messages, but a much lower rate at appointment setting, which that's the next stat, which I got a 2.5% appointment setting, which is probably better than social media messaging, anyone doing that at a mass scale. So, like of those numbers, 40 or 5% to 2.5% of getting people just like in the door, I think it's pretty good, at least. Definitely room to grow, but for the first time ever, with using different messaging strategies, that way I can like look back and like see all the A/B tests I did. I think it was pretty good. It wasn't great. I think there's definitely room to grow, but the next big thing for my room to grow would be the next percentile, which was less than 1%. Was I only got a few clients, so which was only less than 1%. So it was definitely something that definitely could have been better. But the reason behind that was one of a few reasons. The first reason was because, again, I was not comfortable doing outbound. I was really only comfortable doing inbound. So outbound was a totally foreign thing to me. So getting on the call and trying to sell somebody on myself, like basically doing an interview every single day. I mean not every day, but like a lot of the times was definitely something that threw me off a little bit. So that was the challenge. The second thing, though, was that I learned who I didn't and who I did want to work with. So that was another big thing, because sometimes I would hop on a call and immediately I would tell I do not want to work with somebody. So I didn't really bother trying to pursue them during the call or after the call. So that was another thing. And I don't really blame that when it comes to the numbers, because at the end of the day, I'd much rather have somebody I like working with than someone I don't like working with. And that gets to my last point, which is, I just genuinely did not do good at like selling myself. So that's something I definitely need to work on a little bit more in the future for my outreach methods and everything like that. So those are the big three things on that last part. And that kind of carries me over into my next big point, was what I wish I kind of focused on, or what I would do again in the future. And that would be, like when it came to like the outreach and everything, I think I did pretty decent with that. And getting the reply back, I think I did pretty decent with that. Of course, I think it would be better to A/B test more things and try to find out exactly what's working best. But overall, I think I did decent. But the big thing I want to focus more on is trying to qualify those people in the messaging a little bit better, and just try to figure out people a little bit more to target better quality people before I get on the call. That would be the first thing. And the second thing is actually landing the people I want to work with. Because sometimes there will be people I genuinely want to work with, but then I just don't get the chance to, just because they find a better offer, which, I mean, I totally understand. But I'm not trying to grow super quickly. I'm trying to build sustainably, learn as I go and everything. But I do want to learn by growing my business too. So I just gotta work on selling myself. So that's the other big thing. Like I said, that's something I would focus on next time. And for anyone, like I said earlier, trying to take their business or freelancing business to the next level, definitely suggest Upwork, definitely suggest anything like that, just because it's really going to take them to the next level. And like I mentioned earlier, when it came to me spending money on Upwork and everything like that, it is a little scary, but each job is probably about 6 connects, and 6 connects is about a little bit less than $1. So if I did 620 total outreach, that's about $1,500 total dollars, to where, like, if I had, every 90 days, that'd only be about $500. If I was just doing like very simple math. And if $500 is, how much I would spend on outreach a month, basically all I would need to do is get at least 1 to 2 clients a month, and I'll basically cover that. Like, it wouldn't be an issue. And then after that first month, those clients that would come recurring would basically just be all profit. So like, it is nothing really I need to worry about when it comes to that. Of course it could be better, but in this world, people are paying lots of money just for conversion, so that's not a bad conversion rate by any means. Conversion rate is probably not the term to use there, but I think you know what I mean. Anyways, hopefully that helps anybody out there trying to get into the game of outreach or outbound messaging, anything like that. And if you do think this video helped you, please go ahead and like and comment down below. And if you want to see more journeys of me as an entrepreneur, or just me in general, go ahead and subscribe. And if you want to even see more of me, please follow me on Instagram at jcallispro. Anyways, I'll see you when I see you. Peace out.